When a situation arises in a relationship that causes anger, ask God to guide you and give you His perspective. Because you need His perspective in that moment, don't you? And then decide, and that's a crucial word right there, decide to calmly and respectfully address the issue and work all the way through it until it's resolved. I'm a big fan of working all the way through it because us conflict avoiders, how many of you would say you're kind of a conflict avoiderish person? Well, not that many. I'm surprised. Maybe you just didn't know it. It's like, yeah. You're going to avoid putting your hand up. But for conflict avoiders, we tend to, this is how we address conflict. Or, we're angry about something, your husband just annoyed you, your child just did something, and you're angry. And so we don't like conflict, so it's difficult for us to broach the subject at all. And so we just think we're winners if we just broach the subject and kind of toss it out there and say, that really upset me, okay. And we don't actually work all the way through it and actually take the time to say, okay, let's sit down, let's talk about this, let's figure out, I want to hear your perspective, please listen to my perspective. Okay, how can we come together in a compromise, a compromise that represents your thoughts and my thoughts and your values and my values. We need to work all the way through it, because if we don't, what happens? The anger lingers, and it's either going to be stuffed and cause problems, or it's going to be vented and cause problems. So, don't react by yelling and don't retreat by stuffing. Don't react by yelling and don't retreat by stuffing. Only when you work all the way through the issue will you bring peace back to the relationship. And this is the goal. Romans 12:18, if possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with everyone. Let's get to what our next guiding principle is. It's this: forgive others as you want to be forgiven for being imperfect and sometimes unintentionally wounding others. Colossians 3, starting in verse 12. Put on then as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience, bearing with one another, and if one has a complaint against the other, forgiving each other, as the Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive. Must forgive. I'll just say that again. Must forgive. So what is this forgiveness business? Because sometimes we get this all jumbled up in our heads, right? Forgiveness does not mean that what that person did was okay. That's not what forgiveness means. Forgiveness does not mean that you necessarily have to be in close relationship with this person. If they're damaging your heart, damaging your physical, maybe you don't necessarily have to be in close relationship with this person, but you're still called to forgive them in the sense that you're giving up your right to punish that person and seek revenge. You're choosing to forgive and release them from your desire to punish and seek revenge and condemn that person. And again, forgiveness is not a suggestion from God. It's not a suggestion. And we don't wait till we feel like it. God just says, you must do this. It's a command. Stubbornly trust in the Lord to make things right in His timing. And I think of Job. Some of you feel like Jobette, don't you? How much, Lord? How long, Lord? And we get angry at God sometimes. We certainly get angry at other people. But think of the story of Job. In the end, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. He has way more than he had at the beginning, twice as much as he had at the beginning. But he had to wait for it, remain steadfast in trusting the Lord, wait for it. Psalm 37, starting in verse 1. Fret not yourself because of evildoers. That's a good word right there. Fret not yourself because of evildoers. Be not envious of wrongdoers, for they will soon fade like the grass and wither like the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and befriend faithfulness. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in Him, and He will act. He will bring forth your righteousness as the light and your justice as the noonday. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Fret not yourself over the one who prospers in his way, over the man who carries out evil devices. Refrain from what? Anger, and forsake wrath. Fret not yourself. It tends only to evil. That's probably a passage we could read several times over and over again, right? stubbornly trusting in the Lord, that He is ultimately in control. And I don't know about you guys, but there are things that make me angry, events that happen in my kids' lives, someone does something to one of my kids, and I'm like seething with anger. I wonder if that person was summer that did that, or whatever, or maybe your husband made you angry. And sometimes we just have to stubbornly plant ourselves on the truth that God is all loving, God is all powerful, God is in control, God is compassionate. We need to change. Okay, this is also huge. I might have to get passionate about this too. I'm so sorry. I don't really care. Why am I apologizing? Okay. We need to change the way we look at our life from a quest for personal happiness, which, by the way, often leads to you being very angry at people that get in the way of your happiness. And actually, you never can achieve personal happiness, because it's just not going to happen this side of heaven. So we need to change the way we look at our life from a quest for personal happiness to a quest to advance God's kingdom here on earth and be a great reflection of His love and graciousness to all people. This is a humongous and powerful shift in perspective. And you will find anger just falling off of you, just dropping off of you as you shift your perspective. Because if I am counting on other people to make me happy, I'm going to be angry all the time. I'm going to be disappointed all the time. My kids didn't perform well in school, and now I'm like an angry mama. Or my husband, he stumbled again and looked at pornography again, and now I'm an outraged wife. Whatever the thing is, my dad still hasn't spoken to me or asked for forgiveness for all the abuse of all those years when I was a child, and so I can just be seething with anger. And if I'm just counting on other people making me happy, I am going to be perpetually disappointed and just downright angry. So we need to shift our perspective, because it isn't about that anyway. Why don't we all shift our perspective? Because when we get to heaven, we get to have happiness. We get to have joy. We get to have peace. We get to have comfort. So I'm going to have happiness then. Here on earth, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission. It isn't about my personal happiness. I'm on a mission to see how many people's lives I can impact for His kingdom. How many people I can drag with me to heaven, right? Like, how many people can I influence and impact their lives so that they end up drawing closer to the Lord and they end up joining me in heaven someday. That's what my life is all about. And now, anger just drops off of me. I don't put myself in abusive situations. I might have some boundaries, but I'm not counting on other people making me happy. I am on mission to serve the Lord. And actually, there's so much joy in that. Philippians 2, Paul wrote about this. Do everything without complaining and arguing, so that no one can criticize you. Live clean, innocent lives as children of God, shining like bright lights in a world full of crooked and perverse people. Hold firmly to the word of life then on the day of Christ's return. I will be proud that I did not run the race in vain and that my work was not useless. But I will rejoice even if I lose my life, pouring it out like a liquid offering to God, just like your faithful service is an offering to God. And I want all of you to share that joy of pouring out His life for the Lord.